What's up, guys? I'm the Wrestlegamer. Welcome back to Let's Play Battleship Bishojo right here on the arcade. On the last episode, we landed ashore at the Fenikkusu, and we've been traveling. The girls and Daiki were traveling up the mountain, and they came across an ancient riddle, in which, upon answering, made it started raining, and everyone started having a water fight with each other. That's all I'm gonna say. Anyway, this was the last line of the last episode, so. Rock climbing usually involves harnesses and equipment, Captain. Well, we really don't have much of a choice, do we? Get to the side and get climbing. Before I could say any more, Katsuya lifted herself up, arms and legs, moving deftly across the rough surface of the mountain, determined to make her way to the next foothold. And behind her, Olivia was not far behind, her expression focused, yet almost blank. Miyoko made her way as well, once there was enough space. And although Sophie was shaking nervously, she carefully made her way onto the mountain and followed her comrades across its surface. Well, I guess I don't really have a choice here. And with those hopefully not final words, I grabbed onto the rough surface, rocks protruding here and there, making awkward hand and footholds. Carefully, I made my way from one protruding stone to the next. About halfway across, I felt my hand slip and I wobbled a bit. I almost swung back, letting go of a quick gasp before I felt another hand anchor me back to the spot. I looked over and saw Sophie. Through all her sweat and nerves, she smiled at me. Careful, Daiki, it's a long way down. Yeah. Focusing back on the task at hand, I moved my way up and across. My muscles were starting to ache and burn, as they had so many times during naval training. I was in enough shape at this point, but it had been some time since I had exerted myself this much. Somehow, by some miracle, my feet finally reached the next stairway along with everyone else. I stood there, brushing myself off, grinning over at everyone. They all nodded before turning and making their way back up the stairway. So how much further do you think we have to go? I asked this as I caught my breath, trudging my way up the pearly staircase caked in a layer of dirt and mud. Not much further now. We should be almost... there. I looked up to where she was and smiled at the sight. Firstly, I met three beautiful, sweaty ladies. That's always something to smile at. But beyond that was what looked like an edge, the stairs ending at a tip. No special decoration surrounding it. Not that there needed to be, anyways. Finally, the four of us had made it to the top, which had a small flat platform, the tip of the mountain like the back of a chair beyond us. And the flat edge, however, was a nest. And in that nest sat a single red egg. It was huge, about the size of Katsu's torso. So this is what we came here for? Exactly right. And how exactly do you plan to get this thing back down to the bottom? We just did a bunch of rock climbing. That's not exactly the best obstacle for carrying an egg that big. You worry too much, eh? And with that, Katsu pulled something from out of her pocket. She grinned and she unfolded it and realized what it was. A harness. One of those things you see mothers wearing to carry their children on their bellies or whatever. Clever. You saw this coming then. I heard rumors that Fenikkusu eggs were nothing to scoff at in terms of size, so... She placed the egg within the harness, slipping it right into the fabric. Katsu grunted, likely at the weight of the egg, before making sure it was nice and secure and slipping it over her arms. It rested heavily on her back, but she seemed to take it in stride. Alright, we got what we needed. Let's hit back down before we get caught, shall we? We all nodded and made our way down the mountain as we had just scaled. Going down always seemed easier than going up, but with the balmy heat of this island, it still seemed like a chore. I wiped the sweat from my forehead and let out a deep exhale. Miyoko must have taken notice. Doing all right there, sailor? Yeah, just lots of walking, that's all. Poor thing. When we get back, I'll give you a nice massage. Sound nice? A masseuse too? I'm impressed, Miyoko. Well, honestly, I'm not a trained masseuse. I sort of just picked up a few things from stuff. She laughed, waving me off as we continued our descent, making it to the rock climbing part. Knowing the road a bit better, I was able to take my time and somewhat squeezed out the muscle to make my way back down to the other side once again. Soon we were back to the cave, and we all decided to take a breather while we could. We waited outside the cave's mouth and sat in the shade, sitting or leaning on things nearby. And for whatever reason, I was reminded of school. Except the people around me were exceptionally better looking than I was used to. After that quick breather, we continued our way downwards through the cave. As easy or difficult as that may have been, that all depends, I suppose. As we continued our way downwards, Olivia leaned over to me, balancing herself a bit before continuing her walk. You alright there? Oh, just fine. Heat's getting to me a bit, I think. Yeah, same. Just hang in there. We're almost back. Yeah, you do the same. We both smiled and kept at the pace with the others in front of us. That's a big lizard. Finally, we made it back down to the very bottom, only to encounter yet another issue. Can't we be done with this place without having to deal with this? Yet another creature stood in front of the trail we had cut out for ourselves, snacking on the remains of the prior plant predator Katsu had slain. She let out a sigh and wiped her hand across her face. Alright, how about we just avoid this one, shall we? I mean, there's a possibility it could be an herbivore. Yeah, well, at this point, I'd rather not roll those dice. Let's just, She put out her sword, but her frame sagged. She was obviously exhausted, but still trying to push herself forward. I grasped at her hand where the hilt of her blade was. She looked up at me in shock, face already flushed, so it was tough to read her fully. What are you... Look, you got a giant egg strapped to your back. Let me handle this, alright? Fine. But I swear, if you break or lose this sword, I'll make sure. Blah blah, save your threats, Cap. Just go. She released her grip and let the sword fall into my hands. Now, admittedly, I didn't have all that much experience with swords. But by all that much, I mean any at all. But I did my best to make it look like I knew what I was doing, but it was pretty obvious I was just flailing and hoping for the best. Eventually, we had carved out yet another path outwards to our ship. We stepped out, Katsu falling to her knees, gasping for air. Hey, are you alright? I'm fine. Let's just get aboard and rest for a minute. I nodded and helped her up, handing her back her sword. We trudged back through the shallow water and began our climb upwards back onto the deck of the ship. True to her word, we all just sat there for a moment, regaining our breath whilst under the shade of a nearby cliff by our ship. You know, you could have just traded off the egg to one of us or something. Yeah, well, I suppose the thought that just didn't cross my mind. Yeah, sure it didn't. Well, that can't be a good sound. Blast, I thought we had enough time. The Fenikkusu has likely gotten back to her nest and... Well, no time to dawdle. Olivia to the engine. Sophie, port side cannons. Miyoko, starboard side. We need to be ready. Wait, we've had cannons on this thing the whole time and never used them because... Well, for one, our ammo is expensive and extremely limited. And secondly, what else could we have used it on during the time you've been here? Alright, come on, I'll take care of the egg. No. I could see the heat flash in her eyes when she said the words. I sighed, leaning over to help her to her feet. Look, I get it. I messed up a lot, but I can handle an egg, alright? I'll put it in the lower quarters so the Fenikkusu, or whatever, can't get its claws on it. That way we can set sail faster, alright? Or, you know, we could stand here and get our eyes scratched out by a giant bird who's really mad about getting her offspring jacked. Still, she said nothing but removed the harness from her body and carefully handed it and the egg over to me. One crack on this thing and you're overboard. Got me? Understood, Captain. Man, this thing really did weigh a ton. Like medium-sized dog sort of heavy. Like at least 30 pounds. How the heck was Katsu carrying it for so long? No wonder she was near her breaking point. or what looked like her breaking point anyways. I set it down in a safe encasement, wrapping around the harness with as padding to make sure that even with the rough waves, it wouldn't move all that much or fall over. With that taken care of, I made my way back onto the deck. Looking out at the island, as the island moved further and further away from us. Well, I suppose that's that. I think we got lucky. Nope. You always gotta say something, don't you? It's pretty much the only talent I got at this point, let's be honest. I turned and looked back at the island and saw it, a small silhouette of sorts, floating away from the island, getting larger and larger by the second. Can we still any faster in this thing, or just remain calm? Sophie, Miyoko, get ready on those cannons. I could hear yells of affirmation from below, as well as a sudden heavy thud. A few mechanical noises later, and I could see the gray and metal double-barreled cannon swinging its way around to the side of the ship. You weren't kidding about the cannon thing, huh? Why would I joke about that sort of thing? Seriously. Crap, it's getting closer. Get ready, everyone. I nodded, backing my way up and keeping watch as the shadow of the monster tailing us got bigger and more visible. Okay. Well, if there was a turtle girl, a cat girl, and a mermaid, why wouldn't there be a bird girl here? It became more than a shadow in no time, the brilliant red hue of its plumage blaring against the sun. Dang. I had to admit, I was pretty impressed. It wasn't nearly as large as the turtle had been, but it was definitely nothing to scoff at. If anything, it was just a bit smaller than the mermaid we had encountered. Give me back my baby! Well, it can talk too? Should have figured that. With a sharp crack, the giant avian beast sunk its claws to the side of our ship, shouting and bellowing for us to return its egg. Now! Fire! Hurry! Even at the odd angle that it was at, the cannons rotated and locked on target, firing with a mighty blast. Smoke and debris plumed into the air as cannonballs flew towards the Fenikkusu. 3 shots were taken and 2 missed. One just barely scraped by her face, causing her to collapse forward onto the ship, but not before rebounding quickly and swiping a talon over at me. I collapsed forward in a dodge, gasping as my body whacked against the solid wood of the ship. Daiki, get out of there! With that, I rolled forwards, trying to add some distance between me and the Fenikkusu as it trudged forwards, thrusting its face towards me. You know, that'd be a lot less weird if you actually had a beak. Give me back my baby, now! Alright, I'm not exactly the one to ask about that sort of thing. You may wanna... Daiki, stop talking to it. That's what did us over before. Look, I don't have a lot of options at this point. Get over to the other side of the ship so the cannons can get a better angle. Why do I always have to be the bait? Because what the heck else are you doing? Now go. Taking a sharp turn on the ship, most likely hopping to unbalance the beast, Katsu kept her focus strong. I did as I was told, the best I could, weaving around the creature's claws, stumbling here or there as it grasped at me. Finally, I made it to the lower port side of the ship, wobbling a bit as I held to the edge. The Fenikkusu took the bait, towering over me threateningly, I need to learn to English, as I wobbled over to the side. It stretched itself outwards, attempting to grab at me, having its head stick out just enough to almost face to face with the cannon nearby. Now, with a mighty bang, the Fenikkusu was shot nearly point blank in the face with a cannonball. Whew, that had to have hurt. And with the screech that it made, a mixture of pain and frustration as it tumbled into the water, It was unlike anything I had ever heard. As its wings touched the cool surface of the ocean, a mighty sizzle emitted from it, making a sudden fog surround the entire ship, as the horrid sounds of the boiling Fenikkusu filled the air. This is like the Fenikkusu all over again, but worse. The sounds finally settled. The fog stuck around for a while. Katsu continued to maneuver the ship forward until we had reached what we had thought was safety. Phew, good work, Daiki. We managed to... Dunk. The ship tilted harshly to the side, causing all of us to stumble over with its movements. All letting out our collective yelps, we sat there for a moment watching as a giant, ragged hand reached up from the side of the ship. You've got to be kidding me. Well, it is a phoenix, after all. Well, it was, anyway. Most of the bird-like features looked as if they were singed off, leaving only the humanoid parts left. An almost nude giant woman clawed her way onto the ship, stepping feebly, yet somehow still in an intimidating manner, towards Katsu and I. Sorry about the whole hitting you in the face by a cannonball thing? Don't apologize to it, you. I don't care. Just give me my baby. We went silent and looked up. The face of the Fenikkusu wasn't rage or terror. Please, it's the only one I have left. Just, please, let me have it back. Please. Tears were falling down the creature's scrunched up face. I let out a sigh, scratching my head and stepping to the side towards Katsu. Look, come on, let's just... All of these pirates, all the same, all coming after my children. All these eggs I've laid, and I haven't seen a single one of their faces. Please. Katsu, come on. We'll just figure something else out. Let's just... Yeah, just... Go get the egg, alright? I nodded and looked up at the Fenikkusu, whose eyes had lit up at the soft words of Katsu. I moved past her and into the lower decks, pulling out the egg from its safe place. I hauled my way up the stairs, grunting and grimacing as I placed it near her. Well, there you are, ma'am. One Fenikkusu egg, hold the salt. The Fenikkusu merely looked at me, obviously puzzled by my words. Without another word, she took hold of her egg gently with her talons and smiled broadly. She let out yet another great screech, fire bursting from her back and across her arms. With that, all those feathers that she had lost were right back where they were. With a mighty flap, she rose upwards and off the ship, her and her egg making their way back to the island. I just stood there watching as she made her way back home. I sighed. I could already feel Katsu's eyes burning a hole in the back of my head. I turned, wiping sweat from my nervous brow. I mean, I was following your orders. That's, just save it. I don't care. Go back to the lower decks. We're taking a break for a while, okay? Alright. No other words were exchanged as I headed back downstairs into my makeshift bedroom. I sat on my bed in silence until I heard muffled words coming from the other side of the ceiling. I stood and leaned upwards to listen in quietly. With Katsu and Sophie, I could make out that much. Can't keep doing this. Losing funds. How long can we... I don't... He's doing his. Let's just wait. We can't blame him for... I'm getting tired. Just go. We'll figure it out. With that short exchange out of the way, all I heard was a door shut. I collapsed back laying down onto my bed and sighed. I'm really not being helpful here, am I? Morning, afternoon, who really knew or cared anymore? But what we do care about right now, guys, is calling it an episode right now. So if you guys like this video, be sure you slam that like button. Like a champ, and if you guys want to see more of Battleship Bishojo right here in the arcade, you know the two ways you got to do it. You got to leg drop the subscribe button and hit that bell icon to turn on notifications so you guys will never miss out on another video right here on my channel. So with that being said, I am your friendly neighborhood wrestling gamer, reminding all of you guys out there to stay awesome. Bye, guys.